Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. Today's video is going to be about my 10 most used eyeshadow palettes in 2022 so far. These are also palettes that are easy to travel with, so if you are going on vacation or have vacation plan, hopefully these can serve as inspiration for you. If you're interested in purchasing them, most of these are not limited edition. They're still available. I will have links below. If you do click on the links, I do make a small commission, which just goes right back into buying more makeup to demo review for you guys. But the inspiration behind this video came from actually me packing for my own vacation a couple of weeks ago. I really wanted to have fun, enjoy my vacation, and part of that is having the ability to create different makeup looks every day. So I was packing these eyeshadow palettes, I realized, hey, these are ones that I have been using quite often too, especially if they're sitting on my vanity. It's like I look at it and I know, oh, that's the look I'm gonna go with today. So I really want to share this with you. I think it's a lot of fun. I love eyeshadows, as you guys know. So let me start with, I have 10 total, and let me start with number 10. This palette is in number 10 spot, not because I have liked it less over time. It really has to do with how often I've used it. So this is from Byredo. It's the Disco palette, and I love it. It's just this, like, it's all metallic shades here. This one here is like a molten metallic. I love how it looks, how it goes on, and how it diffuses. I just haven't been using it as much this year, but it's definitely still a palette I go back to. It's lovely. It's also one of those color stories that I feel like I can go and use it at any time during the year. Not just for summer or winter time. It's just like if I'm in the mood for it and I want these particular shades in a metallic form, I'm definitely reaching for this. The second palette is from Natasha Denona. It is her Mini Biba palette. To my surprise, I have enjoyed this much more than I thought. And I have a handful of her mini palettes that I love. I've talked about them several times on the channel, but this one I keep going back to. I think it has to do with like just how these shades really fit well with my skin tone. And of course she is well known for her beautiful metallics. I mean, look at that. I do find that this color story is similar to Mom Beauty's and Beautylicious collaboration. They're not exactly the same, but it does have that vibe, especially with this shade here. This kind of plum. Well, this is more brown. This is more plum. And I definitely go for this one more than this palette. Likely because of this metallic shade. This one here is beautiful, but I think overall the look I get is a little bit maybe too pink, coral, or salmon-like, and I just like the blend of you've got this shade here, but this is kind of cool in contrast and comparison, so I definitely go for the Mini Biba a lot more. Number 8 is from Viseart. It is their Kashmiri palette. I love this palette. Was released last fall, so it is definitely cool tone, and it is so beautiful. There's not a time where I create a look and I'm like, oh, that's not very nice, or it didn't really turn out the way that I had hoped. Sometimes it doesn't turn out the way that I originally imagined, but it always turns out beautifully. Super easy to use. They always include very practical mattes that pair very well with the rest of the shades. Most of the shades on here, there's a good amount of metallics, but all of the mattes are really just, they help anchor your look or help you correct mistakes if you've made any. It's just so beautiful every single time. I love this purple. I know I'm only swatching metallic shades for you guys, but they just, look at that. So pretty. At number 7 is also another Viseart palette. It is from their Petit Fool line. This was released last holiday, late fall, winter, during the holidays. It's the Peridot Love the green. It would go well with my bomber jacket today. And anytime I wear green, I'm like, oh, I should do a green eyeshadow look. This is the first palette I go to. At least for 2022, I've been reaching for this a lot. And number 6 is from Chanel. It's the Mediterranean palette. This was released and is limited edition during the holidays last year. It was still available January, February of this year, and I think now, at least online, it's sold out. I'll have a link below anyway. Maybe there's still some stock. If I find a retailer that sells it, I'll definitely have that information below. Initially, when I first demoed this and reviewed it, I liked it, but I went back to it recently and I find that it just creates these really gorgeous taupey neutral tone looks that have that, you know, very, you know, Chanel subtle but beautiful sparkle to it. And I just find myself gravitating towards this every time. And even though it's so sparkly, like the shade here is more lid topper, it doesn't irritate. And this is definitely more metallic. It doesn't irritate my eyes. Sometimes with certain eyeshadow palettes and the glitter, it does make my eyes a little bit red, a little bit itchy, but I don't find that I have any irritation with this palette. At number 5, we're halfway through here. I have the Wayne Goss Luxury Eye Palette in Imperial Topaz. This was Wayne Goss's first eyeshadow palette that he released, and most recently he released, was it Smokey Topaz? Might be misremembering that, but it just launched this past week. I'll have a link below as well. Very unsuspecting palette, because you look at these shades, you're like, okay, these are, you know, we've seen them before, very classic, but much like the Cashmere palette from Viseart, I've never created a look that I didn't like. Also very practical black matte to let you deepen any of these shades here. A gorgeous lid topper that instantly brings interest to your eyeshadow look. Actually, let me use a different finger because I have pigment. You can see, just beautiful. I have found with this shade here, this kind of like red brown metallic, it is like a dupe of Dior's. This is the Dior Cruise Quint. It's not exactly the same, but similar vibes. It's like a coppery shade. Dior has released other eyeshadow palettes that are also coppery as well. I've done some pretty extensive comparisons of all the Dior kind of copper-like shades. This is similar enough to this that if there's any eyeshadow palettes or Quints of Dior that you might have missed out on or was curious about and they have this coppery shade, you can probably create a pretty similar look using a combination of these shadows here. It was a very pleasant surprise when I realized that, but if you missed out on the Cruise Quint and you're interested, I would check out Imperial Topaz from Wayne Goss. At number 4 is another Viseart palette. This is the Petite Pro Soleil. Soleil has been out of stock for several months and it recently got restocked. If you have been eyeing, you're interested in this, I highly recommend it. It's available now. It's because they've got this gorgeous purple here, this really eye-catching duochrome, this bright yellow and some red. You've got some pink, shift in this shade here. Then you got something bronzy and then something that's kind of like a golden metallic. This palette, you can create sunrise and sunset inspired looks with it. And anytime you have doubts, you're like, how could I make this stand out a little bit more? Just put the lid topper, the duochrome lid topper, and everything is gonna look beautiful. That's why I gravitate towards it every time I think about, okay, I want a little bit more color, a little bit brighter, something fun. It's just so easy. I mean, Viseart, I really love them, and they just make creating looks fun and easy. So I am very much gravitating towards this whenever I think of bright colors. Another noteworthy change with their kind of, not re-release, but restock, they've added some graphics to the compact itself. So it kind of matches what we see in the G palettes with the graphics. It's adorable. And number 3 is Chantecaille's Giraffe Eye Quartet. Also beautiful, also very easy to travel with. And of course, I'm going to swatch this shade for you guys. Just beautiful. Sparkle. It really pulls the look together. And I'm always impressed with their eye quartets, but this is like my color story with that mauvey purple. We're down to the last 2 palettes. I wonder if you guys can guess which brand and which palette. I think some of you guys will not be surprised. I've definitely used these, and you know, if you've seen the description, you definitely have seen these palettes being listed. So I have here is the Dior Riviera, and this is the Riviera Quint. There is something very, you look at this and it is beautiful, but you think, well, these are, you know, they're kind of similar here. I don't know how much contrast you're going to get, but every time I use this and I pop this on the waterline or on the upper lash line, it just creates a very like smoky type of look, but they're not traditionally, you know, neutral because it's like a plum shade. And then if I didn't want to use this and I want to go with something lighter, I just stick with these 3 here, and it creates something just as beautiful and interesting looking. I think the commonality between all these palettes that I've chosen, because I keep going back to them, is that they fit well with my skin tone. Like all the shades here fit really well with my skin tone, and they're able to make my eyes stand out with mixing and matching. And what I love on top of that is it doesn't matter if I mix these 3 shades, or I use all of them. Find a way to use all of them, it still really works. So I find myself going back to this palette over and over again. This was on sale on one of the online retailers recently. So if I find a sale, which depending on when this video is being posted, we have July long coming soon. I'll try to, you know, get you guys the best deal, link to that deal again in the description. And we're down to number 1, the last palette. I am wearing the last palette today. This is Tom Ford's Smokey Quartz. These are all matte shades. They are creamy mattes. There is no glitter. There's not really, I mean, it looks like they might have a sheen because they're so smooth, but they don't. And they just go on seamlessly. They blend excellent. I don't get any fallout from them. When they came out, or when Tom Ford came out with this new formulation, there were 3 color stories total. I picked up 2. I enjoy both of them, but Smokey Quartz is by far the one that I go back to most often. And I do think that this is maybe a little bit too similar to that 3rd one I didn't pick up. I think it's called Tiger Eye. If you do have one of the 2, Smokey Quartz and Tiger Eye, I don't think you need both. I think Tiger Eye definitely looks much warmer, and I prefer this because this shade here is cooler and can contrast things a little bit better. That's just what I'm interested in, what I like. I hope he comes up with more color stories, and I definitely don't mind if a couple of these other, you know, future options are all matte. I think that's lovely. I just love wearing this quad. It's so classy. The last thing I wanted to show you is, because the look you get from this quad is a matte look, you can top any or put any lid topper that you want on top of it, and it goes like it's gonna look good. So I've put on, I think, this duochrome here from Petite Pro Soleil. I think I've put, actually, maybe that's it. Maybe that is it. Well, let me put, from Wayne Goss, Imperial Topaz. Let me put this lid topper on it. I just want to demonstrate. There it is. Just subtle, flexible, versatile. And I've never paired these two together. I've never paired this lid topper with the Tom Ford palette, but I know that it's going to be just fine. We've transformed the look a little bit here, just with that. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I do have one more palette because I had talked about it previously and I felt like I shouldn't leave this one out. The reason why I didn't make it onto this list is it's not very travel friendly, but I do gravitate towards it. I do go into it often, especially if it's just sitting on the vanity. It's Patrick Ta's Major Dimensions 2 palette. Love these creams. They're great. They don't smudge, they don't move. They don't fully dry down, but you can depend on them. You can layer any of these other, you know, powder products on top, and it's gonna give you a beautiful look with nice dimensions. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know below if I've mentioned any of your favorites. I definitely feel like my discovery with this kind of dupable, these dupable color stories like of this Quint using Wayne Goss is excellent. I love Wayne, and he so far has released some really beautiful eyeshadow palettes. I'll see you guys soon in the very next one. Bye.